great ones, brave ones. Welcome you all to your channel Clear Fundamental. If you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe the channel and press the bell icon that you can get all notifications fast. Non-defining relative clause. The relative clause that gives some extra information about the noun phrase or antecedent which is already identified or defined is called a non-defining relative clause. Non-defining relative clause टी वाक्यर अत्यावश्यक अंश नुहे, यह केवल तार antecedent संबंधरे अधिक सूचना देता है। यह को वाक्यरु बाद देले वाक्यर कौनसी प्रकार अस्वाभाविक परिवर्तन हुए नहीं। A non-defining relative clause is not essential for identifying or defining the noun phrase it refers to. Look at the sentence. Amit, who always gives me books, is my friend. Who always gives me books, relative clause, gives extra information about the antecedent Amit, who has already been identified or defined. So, this relative clause is known as a non-defining, non-identifying, non-restrictive relative clause. एठारे non-defining relative clause टी अमित संबंधरे अधिक सूचना दिए. We have to separate the non-defining relative clause from the main clause with the help of commas or a comma. Non-defining relative clause टी को comma मध्यरे सीमाबद्ध करी रखा जाई थाए. Don't sit on this chair, which has a broken leg. Which chair? This chair. एठारे chair टी स्थिरीकृत होई सारिछि. The chair has already been defined. Which has a broken leg gives extra information about the chair. Hence, which has a broken leg is a non-defining relative clause. Lots of people died of an epidemic which was really tragic. Here, the non-defining relative clause, which was really tragic, modifies the whole clause. Lots of people died of an epidemic. This relative clause is known as a sentential relative as it modifies a whole clause. एठारे थिबा non-defining relative clause टी को sentential relative कुहा जाए. Notice the comma which separate the sentential relative from its antecedent. The whole clause, lots of people died of an epidemic, is the antecedent of the relative pronoun which. Remember, the use of determiners like my, your, his, her, mirage, our, this, that, these, those, and proper nouns denoting names of persons, countries, states, place, etc. makes the relative clause into non-defining relative clause. Antecedent टी यही possessive determiner युक्त होइथिले relative clause टी non-defining relative clause होइथाय. Let us learn some cream points about non-defining relative clause. The non-defining relative clause is an additional part. It gives extra information about its defined antecedent. All sentential relatives are non-defining relative clauses. The non-defining relative clause cannot take the relative pronoun that. Non-defining relative clause रे that pronoun व्यवहार हुए नहीं. Activity 5. Write D for defining and N for non-defining relative clauses. A greengrocer is a person who sells fruits and vegetables. Defining relative clause. Bhola, who is a greengrocer, goes to the fields every morning. Non-defining relative clause. Bhola, the name of a person, is already defined, so it is a non-defining relative clause. What is the name of your friend who often comes to our house? Defining relative clause. Where does Amit, who often comes to our house, live? Non-defining relative clause. स्थिरीकृत होई सारिथिबा antecedent युक्त relative clause को non-defining relative clause कहा जाए. My uncle, who is a judge, is coming here tomorrow. Defining relative clause. My uncle, who is a judge, is coming here tomorrow. Gives extra information to the antecedent my uncle. Hence, it is a non-defining relative clause. My father, who is a teacher, loves to talk non-defining relative clause. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Defining relative clause modifies the antecedent, the head. We love the man who thinks of our welfare. Defining relative clause. We call Uncle Bhola, who thinks of our welfare, as the Gandhi of our village. This relative clause gives additional information about its antecedent Bhola. Non-defining relative clause. ଆମକୁ ମନେ ରଖିବାକୁ ହେବ ଯେ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ବା ସ୍ଥିରୀକୃତ ହୋଇସାରିଥିବା ଆଣ୍ଟିସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ଯୁକ୍ତ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍କୁ ନନ୍ ଡିଫାଇନିଂ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ କୁହାଯାଏ. Put commas in the following sentences if they are necessary. The man whom the police arrested is not known to us. Defining relative clause. Note that the non-defining relative clause is separated from the main clause by two commas, one before and the other after. But in a sentential relative, we have to put only one comma that you know well. The strike at the factory, which last 10 days, is over now. Defining or identifying relative clause. My father, who is working at Koraput, is a doctor. Non-defining relative clause. I have found the book which I was looking for. Defining relative clause. Mira's grandmother, who is sick, is in hospital now. Whose mother? Mira's mother. Already defined. Hence, it is a non-defining relative clause. Einstein, who discovered the theory of relativity, once failed in an examination. Antecedent Einstein has already been defined. It is a non-defining relative clause. Einstein's theory of the universe equal to mc square. ରିଲେଟିଭିଟିର ସ୍ରଷ୍ଟା ଆଇନଷ୍ଟାଇନ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିର ଏକ ଏଣ୍ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଏକ୍ଜାମରେ ହୋଇଥିଲେ ଅକୃତକାର୍ଯ୍ୟ. ଫେଲର ଇଜ୍ ଦ ପିଲାର ଅଫ୍ ସକ୍ସେସର ଏ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି ଏକ ଜ୍ୱଳନ୍ତ ଉଦାହରଣ. ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟର ଚୌଧୁରୀ ହୁ ଗଟ୍ ଦିସ୍ ବ୍ରିଜ୍ ବୁଲ୍ଟ ଇଜ୍ ଅନ୍ ଏ ଭିଜିଟ୍ ଟୁ ଆୱାର ଭିଲେଜ. ନନ୍ ଡିଫାଇନିଂ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍. ଇଂରାଜୀ ଗ୍ରାମାର ଶିକ୍ଷା କରିବା ସହଜ ଏବଂ ଆନନ୍ଦଦାୟକ. ଭାଷା ଶିକ୍ଷା କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆନ୍ତରିକତା ଥିଲେ ସମସ୍ତ ପ୍ରକାର ଭାଷା ଶିଖି ହୁଏ, ଜାଣି ହୁଏ, ବୁଝି ହୁଏ. ମଦର ଟେରେସା ହୁ ଫେଥଫୁଲି ସର୍ଭଡ ଦ ପୋର ଇଜ୍ କଲ୍ଡ ଏ ସ୍ୟାଣ୍ଟ ନାଓ. ନନ୍ ଡିଫାଇନିଂ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍. ହି ହାଜ୍ ଷ୍ଟପ୍ଡ ଆଟେଣ୍ଡିଂ କ୍ଲାସେସ୍ which is unfortunate. He has stopped attending classes is the antecedent of which. Here the non-defining relative clause qualifies the whole clause. Hence, this relative clause is known as a sentential relative clause. The chairman of the committee, who is impartial, solves all problems cleverly. Non-defining relative clause. Activity 7. Fill in the blanks with relative pronouns such as who, which, where, whose, that, etc. ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ ପ୍ରୋନାଉନ୍ର ବ୍ୟବହାର ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧରେ ଜାଣିବା ପାଇଁ ଏହାର ପାର୍ଟ 2 ଭିଡ଼ିଓଟିକୁ ଡେସ୍କ୍ରିପସନ୍ ବକ୍ସ ଲିଙ୍କକୁ କ୍ଲିକ୍ କରି ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ. ଆସ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ ପ୍ରୋନାଉନ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧରେ କିଛି ଜାଣିନେବା. ୟୁଜ୍ ଅଫ୍ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ ପ୍ରୋନାଉନ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍. The relative pronoun that is preferred to which in a defining relative clause when the antecedent of the relative clause is a complement to the verb be. Antecedent ଟି be verb ର complement ହୋଇଥିଲେ which ବଦଳରେ that କୁ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେବା ଉଚିତ. It is a book that made him famous. That made him famous is a defining relative clause. Book is the antecedent which is the complement in the main clause. Hence, that is preferred to which. The relative pronoun that is preferred to who or which when the antecedent noun phrase has a superlative, funniest, best, etc. or an ordinal, first, next, last, etc. This is the funniest serial that has come on TV. Was she the first woman that you met there? That is also used for the indefinite antecedent pronoun. Someone, something, anything, anywhere, etc. Tell me something that is interesting. Here you can eat anything that you like. The house in which I lived as a child has been pulled down now. This sentence may be written as the house which I lived in as a child has been pulled down now. Mark the use of preposition. My grandmother, who was an extraordinary woman, lived to the age of 100. ମୋ ଜେଜେମା 100 ବର୍ଷ ବଞ୍ଚିଥିଲେ। ଚାଷ କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଖତମୁକ୍ତ ପ୍ରାକୃତିକ ସାରର ଉପଯୋଗ କରି ଫସଲ ଉତ୍ପନ୍ନ କରୁଥିଲେ। ଶାନ୍ତ ସରଳ ସ୍ୱଭାବର ଥିଲେ। ଆଜିକାଲି ଲୋକଙ୍କ ପରି ଅଧିକ ମାନସିକ ଚାପଯୁକ୍ତ ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥବାଦୀ ମଣିଷ ନଥିଲେ। Stop him. He is the man who has stolen my purse. They have invented a television set which is as small as a watch. There are many people whose lives have been spoiled by this factory. Is that the button that you pressed? Here, the antecedent of the relative clause is the button, the complement to the verb be. Hence, that relative pronoun is preferred. Could everybody whose answer sheets are with me raise their hands? That scientist has invented a kind of ink which is visible in darkness. Activity 8. ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ପଜଲ୍କୁ କ୍ଲ୍ୟୁ ରୂପେ ନେଇ ଏକ ୱାର୍ଡ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିବାକୁ ହେବ ଏବଂ ସେହି ଶବ୍ଦର ଏକ ଲେଟରକୁ ନେଇ ପୁଣି ଏକ ପଜଲରୁ ଏକ ୱାର୍ଡ ଏହିପରି 10ଟି ୱାର୍ଡ ଆସ ମିଳିମିଶି ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିବା। ଫର୍ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ୍, ଏ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ବାର୍ଡ ହୁଇଚ୍ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ସୁଇମ୍ ବଟ୍ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ନଟ୍ ଫ୍ଲାଏ। ଏହି ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ବାକ୍ୟର ଆନ୍ସରଟି ହେଉଛି ପେଙ୍ଗୁଇନ୍। ପେଙ୍ଗୁଇନ୍ ୱାର୍ଡରେ 7ଟି ଲେଟର ଅଛି। ଯେକୌଣସି ଏକ ଲେଟରକୁ ନେଇ ଏକ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ପଜଲ୍ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିବା ଯାହାର ଆନ୍ସର ଆମେ ପାଇବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା। ଜି ଅକ୍ଷର ଥିବା ଏକ ୱାର୍ଡ ହେଉଛି ଇଗ୍ଲୁ। ତୁମ ଇଚ୍ଛା ମୁତାବକ ଶବ୍ଦ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କର ଏବଂ ଏହାକୁ ନେଇ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ପଜଲ୍ଟିକୁ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କର। ଏ ସ୍ନୋ ହାଉସ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଆନ୍ ଏସ୍କିମୋ ବୁଲ୍ସ। ଇଗ୍ଲୁ, ଏସ୍କିମୋ ଲୋକ ବରଫ ତିଆରି ଘର। ଇଗ୍ଲୁରେ 4ଟି ଲେଟର ଅଛି। ଆସ ଏକ ଲେଟରକୁ ନେଇ ଏକ ୱାର୍ଡ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିବା ଏବଂ ଏହି ୱାର୍ଡକୁ ଆନ୍ସର ରୂପେ ନେଇ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ଏକ ପଜଲ୍ ଲେଖିବା। ଅଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଚ୍, ଓଟ ପକ୍ଷୀ। ଏ ଭେରି ଲାର୍ଜ ଲଙ୍ଗ ନେକ୍ଡ ଆଫ୍ରିକାନ୍ ବାର୍ଡ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ନଟ୍ ଫ୍ଲାଏ। ହାରମୋନିୟମ, ଏ ଫ୍ରି ରିଡ୍ ଇନଷ୍ଟ୍ରୁମେଣ୍ଟ ହୁଇଚ୍ ହାଜ୍ ଏ ପାୟୋନ କିବୋର୍ଡ। ହର୍ସ, ଏ ଲାର୍ଜ ପ୍ଲାଣ୍ଟ ଇଟିଂ ଆନିମଲ୍ which is used for riding, racing and to carry and pull loads. School, you can make 10 words of your choice in a way like this. An institution which is meant for educating children. Car, a four-wheeled road vehicle that is powered by an engine. Apple, a round fruit which typically has thin red or green skin and crisp flesh. Elephant, a very plant-eating mammal which has a prehensile trunk. Tongue, the fleshy muscular organ which is used for tasting, licking, swallowing and articulating speech. ପ୍ରଥମେ ରିଲେଟିଭ୍ କ୍ଲଜ୍ ଯୁକ୍ତ ପଜଲ୍ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରି ଏହାର ଏକ ଶବ୍ଦ ଯୁକ୍ତ ଉତ୍ତର ପାଇବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କର ଏବଂ ସେହି ଶବ୍ଦର ଏକ ଲେଟରକୁ ନେଇ ପୁନର୍ବାର ଏକ ପଜଲ୍ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କର। That's all of today. ଜୟ ଭାରତ, ବନ୍ଦେ ଉତ୍କଳ ଜନନୀ। ଡେସ୍କ୍ରିପସନ୍ ବକ୍ସ ଲିଙ୍କର ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ନେଇ ଚ୍ୟାନେଲର ଅନ୍ୟ ଭିଡ଼ିଓ ଗୁଡ଼ିକୁ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, ମଜା ନିଅନ୍ତୁ, ଲାଇକ୍ ଏବଂ ସବସ୍କ୍ରାଇବ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ। ୱିଶ୍ ୟୁ ଅଲ୍ ଦ ବେଷ୍ଟ।